Hello friends and welcome to Total Photoshop 6. I'm Deke Mcclelland and I'll be your lovable friend the Scarecrow, just dancing around floppily wishing I had a brain. Oh wait, that's the wrong movie. I should have equated myself to a character from Jurassic Park. Oh well, what's the diff? We're going to take a look at the wonderful and greatly improved world of type in Adobe Photoshop. But first, it's time for old Total Photoshop tape recycling tip number 93. Is your precious little daughter's Barbie SUV a little grungy from Ken and his no-good pal's weekend hunting trip? Well, put a smile back on her sweet little face with this old Total Photoshop Barbie Dream Car Wash. The gentle rocking action of swaying videotape, together with a couple of handheld power tools, supplied separately, are guaranteed to restore the factory finish of even the most abused toy vehicles. Look at that shine. Now she's sure to love you. Finally. So on to type. Some things about Adobe Photoshop have always been great, and some things have just steadily gotten better and better, like type. Photoshop now handles type in almost exactly the way I've always wanted it to. I can just click in the document and type away. Now if they'd only get rid of that initial click, they'd really be onto something. And actually, it's a drag to have to boot the application before you can work in it. They ought to fix that. And come to think of it, why must the computer always be turned on before you can type in Photoshop? How inconvenient. What do those people at Adobe think? That we just have oodles of time on our hands, that we can afford to stand around waiting for computers to start up and for applications to open before we can even use them? This is an outrage. I'm so peeved now, I don't even think I could possibly give you a tour of type in Photoshop. Good thing we pre-recorded it. All right, for starters, I'd like you to open an image. It's on your CD-ROM. So go to your CD and inside the Create and Edit Type folder, which is the Program 8 folder, you'll find a folder. The first folder is called Fun with Vector Type, and there's an image inside there called textbackdrop.psd that I'd like you to open, and it looks like this. Now, Photoshop offers vector type. In just the same way in the last program we discussed that Photoshop 6 offers vector shapes. Well, Photoshop 6 also offers vector type. What does that mean? Same thing. It means that the type's going to print at the highest resolution of your printer, particularly if it's a PostScript device. So let's get the type tool here. It's the T for type tool in the toolbox. And notice it's clustered with these other vector tools inside the program. There's the shape tool, there's the pen tool, there's the arrow tool that's used to manipulate things created with the pen tool and the shape tool, and there's the type tool. Ironically, the type tool and the arrow tool don't go together. Just something to keep in mind. But the type tool does go with the rest of the cluster of these tools because it's vector-based. This is the little vector group inside the toolbox. It's the little vector click. Very different than every other tool inside the program. Now, if we go up to the options bar, you'll notice that we have a few settings up front here. I've got textile selected as my font, but you can select any font you want. And I've got the font is set to 338.25 points. I don't know why that is. I'm going to set it to something like 24 points at the outset here. You select your favorite font. The rest of these settings are just fine for now. Come back to them later. And you can either click or drag with the type tool. For now, just click. And this will create point text. Point text like you have in Illustrator. If you're familiar with Adobe Illustrator, Illustrator makes a distinction between point text, which is just a point at which you click, and then you create the type from there, or paragraph text, which is actually a text block full of text. We'll see the difference, but for now, just create point text. Just click, and then start typing in some text. I'll just type a friendly hello. Oh, by the way, my text is in red. Your text might be in black. Doesn't matter. Whatever color you want to use. So just type in any text you want for now. And then I'm going to click on the marquee tool in order to switch away from the type because I want to accept what I've done. And this is one way to do it, to accept the type that I've created so far and just say, hey, I'm done editing. I can just click on a different tool. I'm in the habit, personally, of going up and just clicking on the marquee tool when I just want to kind of escape from the tool I'm using. You can click on any tool you want, whatever's your favorite tool. But what you can't do is you can't use the tool shortcut, right? I can't press the M key to get back to the rectangular marquee. Why can't I do this? This is why. If my text is still active here, and I press the M key to go back to the marquee tool, I'll enter the letter M. That's why. So it's just something to know. When you're editing text, you can't take advantage of some of these wonderful shortcuts. You can't take advantage of any shortcut, in fact, that involves a key by itself or Shift plus a key. On the Mac, you can't take advantage of a key equivalent that involves Option and a key or Shift and Option and a key. On the PC, it's a little different with the Alt key because the Alt key behaves a little differently. But on the Mac, you got to press Command and a key to do a shortcut. And on the PC, you most likely have to press Control and a key. Okay? So I'm just going to click here to go back to the marquee tool. And notice that I have this word hello. This is vector-based type. I should point this out. First of all, notice, what did I just do that's different than it used to be inside Photoshop 5? For those of you who've used Photoshop 5.5 and earlier, what's already different about this program? I'm creating text directly inside the window. I don't have to go to a dialog box anymore. Yay. Freaking yay. It's about time. So no more dialog box, no more nastiness there. But not only that, this is vector-based type, as I said, and that means that it's going to print at the maximum resolution of your printer. And to check that out, in a normal program, in a normal object-oriented program, we'd be able to zoom in and see these letters remain extremely sharp. And this throws people off. I'll say this is vector-based type, and they'll zoom in and they'll say, no, it's not. Look, pixels. I can see pixels. I'm at the 400% view size here, and I'm still seeing pixels, just like the image in the background. So it must be bitmap type. It must be just regular, old, resolution-dependent imagery. Well, the reason that we're not seeing increased resolution as we zoom in is the same reason we couldn't see it with the shape tool, and that's because Photoshop is incapable of showing us anything beyond 100%. It's just that's the way Photoshop is put together. That's the way it's hardwired. You can't zoom in beyond 100% inside the program and see any additional detail. It just won't let you. When you print, it's a different story. It's going to print at a high resolution. If you got a PostScript printer, give it a try. You can see that it will work. Some non-PostScript printers it will also work with. But you want to test it inside Photoshop, what do? Let's use the image size command. The image size command lets us blow up this image and basically do what happens during the printing process. Blow up the image to a higher resolution. So I'm going to choose image size, and I'm going to choose percent just because I'd rather work in percent here, and just enter 400%, or any percent you want, just as long as it's really super high. I'm just going to enter 400% for now. And I can set this to bicubic or bilinear or nearest neighbor. That's not going to have any effect on type. How I resample the image doesn't matter because I'm not resampling the type. I'm just going to resize the type. The resample image setting here just affects the background image. It just affects how the background image is interpolated. It has no effect on the type. So I'll click OK. And in a few seconds, it'll go ahead and show us this image at a higher resolution, upsampled by 400%, and bicubic interpolation. So we see some real fuzzy, these are rivers, by the way, letters that were in the map, not Photoshop type. All fuzzy and weird looking. But now let's go check out the type. I have the Navigator palette up here. And just click on a portion of a letter that you'd like to see. I'm going to click in the E. Has the most detail going on. Look at that. Look how smooth that type is. And that's because Photoshop just resized the type. It's just like it works in Illustrator or another program where there's no interpolation. They're simply taking mathematical character definitions and scaling them upward by 400%. Anyway, that's what's happening with vector type inside of Photoshop.